What happens when two powerhouse personalities clash, live on daytime television? What was supposed to be a feel-good segment on the Kelly Clarkson Show turned into an unforgettable confrontation that left the audience stunned and the internet buzzing. Meghan Markle came to talk charity, but what unfolded was something far more explosive. Before we dive into this rollercoaster moment, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Stories like this don't come along every day. And let me know in the comments whose side are you on. It all began like any other celebrity interview. Kelly, with her signature warmth and charm, was set to have a light-hearted chat about Meghan's philanthropic efforts and life in California. The producers had outlined a positive, upbeat segment. But the moment Meghan stepped on stage, the atmosphere shifted. Poised, polished, and clearly prepared for anything, Meghan carried the air of someone who's endured and survived media firestorms. Kelly welcomed her with her usual kindness. "I'm so excited to have you here," she beamed. "Your work with charities is so inspiring. It's beautiful to see someone using their platform for good." Meghan smiled graciously but responded with a subtle sharpness. "Thank you, Kelly. It's great to be here. I've always admired how you keep it real with your audience, how you're not afraid to be vulnerable." But there was a tone, a sliver of something unspoken, and Kelly caught it immediately. Years of interviewing had taught her when someone had more to say than they were letting on. Kelly leaned in. "Speaking of keeping it real," she said with a slight laugh, "I have to ask, with everything that's been said about you in the media, how do you handle stories being told about you rather than by you?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Meghan's smile remained, but her eyes narrowed ever so slightly. "That's an interesting way to put it," she replied, voice sugary but laced with steel. "Stories tend to take on lives of their own, don't they? Especially when certain people benefit from keeping particular narratives alive." The crowd went quiet. Even the camera crew seemed to hold their breath. Kelly tried to soften the tension. "Believe me, I know what that feels like. This industry can be cruel. We've all had to deal with unfair headlines. But Meghan wasn't here to play nice." "That may be true, Kelly. But here's the thing. You've built your brand on being the relatable star, the down-to-earth girl next door. But when was the last time you faced real consequences for telling your truth?" The words hit like a slap. Kelly's smile faltered just a fraction, but she quickly regrouped. "I'm not sure I follow," she said cautiously. Meghan didn't back down. "Oh, I think you do. You sit here in your studio asking guests to open up about their trauma, but you've never had to choose between your family's safety and your public image. That's a very different kind of pressure." Kelly's jaw tightened. The tension was undeniable now, and the room was frozen. "Meghan, I respect everything you've gone through, truly. But you're making assumptions about my life that just aren't fair." "Am I?" Meghan countered, her voice firmer now. "From where I'm sitting, your path looks awfully smooth. American Idol, a talk show, a hit music career. All while being praised for being authentic. That kind of privilege isn't handed to everyone." It was a direct hit, and Kelly wasn't going to let it slide. "Privilege," she repeated, her voice steady but clearly stung. "Meghan, I don't know what narrative you're trying to spin, but suggesting I haven't struggled, that I haven't paid my dues, is just flat out wrong." Meghan leaned in, unflinching. "I'm not spinning anything. I'm pointing out that some of us have paid a much higher price for honesty than others." And that was it. That sentence hit Kelly where it hurt. She sat forward, her hands gripping the arms of her chair. Gone was the cheerful daytime host. In her place was a woman fed up with being underestimated. "A higher price," she said, her voice low and sharp. "You have no idea what I've paid. You want honesty? Fine. Let's be honest. You didn't come here to talk about charity. You came with an agenda, and now here we are." The studio was silent, no laughter, no applause, just stunned disbelief. Two women, two truths, and one unforgettable moment on live television. Meghan's polished calm cracked, just for a moment. A flicker of something raw and defiant crossed her face. I came here expecting a real conversation, with someone who might actually understand what it means to be torn apart by the media. Clearly, I was wrong. Kelly didn't hesitate. Her southern accent thickened, sharpened by anger. "Oh, you were definitely wrong," she snapped. "You thought you could walk onto my stage and rewrite my story to make your point. You're not just mistaken. You're out of line." Behind the cameras, Kelly's producers were frantically motioning for a break, but the two women didn't budge. They were locked in. Meghan raised an eyebrow, her tone icy. "Your stage. That's rich. Because from where I'm sitting, this whole place, this house of yours, was built on playing it safe. On being agreeable, digestible, safe for middle America. That must be exhausting. Pretending all the time." Kelly's eyes flared. "You know what is exhausting, Meghan? Watching someone who had every opportunity handed to them act like they're the only one who's ever suffered. You married into royalty, and when things got uncomfortable, you left. Some of us had to fight for everything from the beginning." That hit a nerve. Meghan's voice rose for the first time, shaking with rage. "You call that a luxury? Walking away because my child wasn't safe? Because I was smeared by tabloids daily, and no one in that institution lifted a finger to help me. That's not luxury, Kelly. That's survival." Kelly stood now, the chair scraping behind her. Her face was flushed, her voice low and furious. "You think you're the only one who's ever been lied about? My life's been ripped apart by the press for over 20 years. My weight, my family, my parenting, scrutinized and mocked. But I didn't ask the world to pause for my pain." Meghan rose too. The space between them now felt charged electric. "I never asked the world to stop," Meghan said, her voice calm again, but deadly serious. "I asked for basic decency, and I was told to smile through it, to stay quiet, to be grateful while people dehumanized me for headlines." The audience was dead silent. Some had their phones out, capturing what felt like a historic moment in daytime TV. Kelly pointed a trembling finger. "Don't you dare turn this into some noble martyr's tale. You knew what came with marrying into that family. You knew the scrutiny. But instead of dealing with it, you blew it all up and turned yourself into the victim. That landed hard." Meghan's face shifted. Shock, then pain, and finally something colder, steelier. "Grace," Meghan echoed, almost whispering. "You want to talk about Grace? Grace is swallowing lies about yourself day after day. Grace is waving to crowds while your soul is being gutted. Grace is protecting people who'd let you drown to protect their image. I showed grace for years, Kelly, and it got me silence, and more lies." Kelly's voice was shaking now, not from fear, but fury. "So your answer was to get in front of a camera and drag everyone through the mud. You knew what you were doing, Meghan. You knew exactly who your words would hurt, and you said them anyway." Meghan laughed, but it was sharp, bitter. "Hurt them. Kelly, they have entire systems built to protect them. Press secretaries, PR teams, newspapers that spin their side like gospel. They didn't need defending. I did." And with that, the two women stood in total silence, staring each other down across the coffee table like warriors on the brink. No teleprompter, no commercial break. Just two public figures, stripped bare, daring the other to blink first. And no one in that studio, or watching at home, would ever forget what they'd just seen. "What did I have?" Meghan said, her voice trembling with restrained fury. What does anyone have when they're up against that kind of power? Kelly's response was calm, but laced with steel. "You had choices," she said firmly. "You always had choices. You could have taken the high road, focused on the work, proved them wrong by rising above the noise, by being better than the stories they told about you." Meghan's eyes narrowed. Easy to say when you've never been in that position. Easy to talk about rising above when you've never had to choose between your mental health and protecting people who were never going to protect you back. Kelly didn't flinch. I've had to make hard choices too, she shot back. But I didn't run to the nearest camera every time someone hurt my feelings. That hit a nerve. Meghan stepped in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow cut deeper than a shout. Hurt my feelings. Kelly, they didn't just go after my reputation. They tried to destroy me. And when I finally spoke up, people like you wanted to shame me for not staying quiet, for not taking the high road. Kelly matched her intensity. Speaking up is one thing. Burning everything down is another. You didn't just tell your story, Meghan. You told everyone else's too, whether they wanted you to or not. Meghan's tone turned incredulous. You mean the truth, Kelly? What actually happened behind closed doors? I'm sorry if that made people uncomfortable, but I wasn't going to keep protecting people who never protected me. The two women now stood just feet apart, their voices low but charged, the tension so thick it gripped the entire room. You know what I think, Kelly said, her voice a whisper filled with fire. I think you're so used to being the victim in your own story, you can't see when you've become the one causing the damage. Meghan's face drained of color. Causing damage, she echoed stunned. I was protecting my family. I was protecting my son from growing up in a system that would have destroyed him just like it tried to destroy me. Kelly stepped forward. Be dragging everyone else through the mud with you. That's not protection, Meghan. That's revenge. The word revenge landed like a slap. Meghan's hands were shaking now, her composure cracking. Revenge, she whispered. You think speaking the truth is revenge? I think selective truth, telling is revenge, Kelly said coldly. Picking which parts of the story to tell and leaving out the rest. That's manipulation, and you're too smart not to know the difference. Meghan recoiled, as if struck. Selective truth. Every word I said was true. Every single thing I went through, real. Kelly's tone softened, but only slightly. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying you told the parts that made you look sympathetic and left out everything else. Meghan's voice cracked. You think I did this for sympathy? You think I put my entire life on display, risked everything, just so people would feel sorry for me? Kelly's eyes didn't waver. I think you were angry, and I think you wanted someone to pay. Maybe some of that anger was justified. But that doesn't make what you did right. The studio was so still. The faint hum of the cameras seemed deafening. Even the crew had stopped moving, paralyzed by the raw emotional collision unfolding before them. Meghan's voice was barely audible. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what it's like to be completely alone. To watch people you trusted throw you to the wolves. Kelly didn't blink. You weren't alone. You had Harry. You had each other. That's more than a lot of people have when they're fighting their battles. Meghan laughed bitterly. Had Harry, she muttered. Kelly, I watched that institution break the man I love. They put him in impossible positions, forced him to choose between his family and his wife. Do you know what that does to a person? To a marriage? For the first time, Kelly's expression softened, but her stance remained firm. I can't imagine how hard that was, but making it a spectacle, turning your private pain into a global drama that didn't help Harry, that just made everything worse, for everyone. Meghan's voice rose, raw and pained. Kelly, staying silent was killing me. I was having thoughts, dark thoughts, about ending my own life. I couldn't see a way out. So forgive me if I chose survival over protecting people who were perfectly fine letting me die. The words hit Kelly like a physical blow. Her face dropped, the fire in her eyes dimmed for the first time. The air shifted, and for a brief, heavy moment neither of them spoke. There were no cameras, no producers, no audience. Just two women standing in the wreckage of what was supposed to be a feel-good interview, grappling with pain, pride, and the unbearable weight of truth. Kelly took a breath, her voice softening. Meg and I had no idea it was that serious. But Meghan didn't let up. Her eyes glistened now, but her tone stayed sharp. Of course you didn't, she said, blinking back the tears. Because people like you don't want to hear that part. You want the drama, the royal gossip. The Who said, what nonsense. But you don't want to deal with the fact that behind all of that, there was a human being in real pain. For the first time that hour, Kelly felt herself deflate. All her talking points, all her plans for a controlled, respectful challenge, gone. I'm sorry, she murmured. I didn't know you were hurting that much. Meghan wiped her eyes, but her voice held firm. No, you're not sorry. You're uncomfortable. There's a difference. You're uncomfortable because I'm not playing the game the way you think I should. Kelly frowned. What game? Meghan looked straight at her. The game where we smile and wave, where we act like everything's fine, where we protect systems that never protected us. You've been playing that game so long, Kelly, you don't even realize it is a game anymore. Kelly pushed back, frustration creeping into her voice. That's not fair. I've been open about my own struggles, my divorce, my body image, being a single mom. Meghan cut her off. Safe struggles. Struggles that make you relatable, but don't rock the boat. Struggles that don't make powerful people uncomfortable. When was the last time you used this platform to call out something that actually mattered? Something that might cost you something? Kelly's tone turned sharp. I use this platform to entertain, to help people feel good. Not everyone needs to be a revolutionary, Meghan. And not everyone needs to be a people pleaser. Meghan snapped. Some of us choose to do more with our voices than just comfort the status quo. Kelly didn't hold back. Is that what you think you're doing? From where I sit, it looks like you're burning down everything around you and calling it activism. Meghan stared at her. A long silence. Something shifted in her face. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, but final. You know what, Kelly? I thought maybe you'd be different. I thought maybe you'd ask something real. But you're just like the rest, only better at hiding your judgment behind a smile. Kelly reeled from the hit. I'm not judging you, she said. I'm trying to understand how someone who's hurt so many people can still think they're the victim. Meghan's response came cold and clear. And I'm trying to understand how someone with your influence chooses to tear down a woman who's already been torn apart. The air was ice. Meghan reached up, calmly unclipping her microphone. I think we're done here. Kelly stepped forward, trying to recover. Meghan, wait. This doesn't have to end like this. Meghan paused, looked her dead in the eye. Yes, it does, because this is exactly what I was talking about. You want the truth, but only if it's neat, sanitized, and safe. The kind you can wrap in a bow for daytime TV. Kelly protested. That's not true. But even as she said it, something inside her hesitated. Meghan tilted her head. Isn't it? She pulled off the last wire from her jacket and stared at Kelly, now fully exposed. Tell me, Kelly, what are you going to do with this conversation? Are you going to air it as it happened, or edit it down into something more comfortable for your audience? Kelly opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The silence was deafening. Meghan smoothed her jacket, glanced once around the stunned studio, then looked back at Kelly one final time. That's what I thought, she said quietly. Thank you for proving my point. And just like that, Meghan turned and walked off the set. Kelly stood frozen, alone in front of a silent audience, gripping a microphone that now felt impossibly heavy. The cameras were still rolling. No one had called cut, but the damage was already done. This wasn't just a conversation about charity. It wasn't even about fame. It was about power, pain, and the price of telling the truth in a world that only wants the polished version. So now it's your turn. Did Meghan go too far? Or did she finally say what needed to be said? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe, because this This is the kind of TV moment people don't forget.